Okay, let's unpack this baking. It's often presented as this incredibly complex, almost mystical art form, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like you need years of training, special kitchens.
Exactly. And these exquisite ingredients for these heavenly but supposedly sinful treats.
That seem impossible unless you're a pro.
But the truth, well, according to our source, wakebakevol1bu.pdf anyway, it's actually much simpler.
Mm-hmm.
These sweet sins, as the book calls them, are really just, mixing some things together and applying a little heat or cold.
It really strips it back, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
source starts right there. Baking is basically just mixing ingredients and then applying heat or cold until they, well, congeal.
It takes away a lot of that perceived complexity straight off.
Yeah.
So for this deep dive, our mission is really to cut through that baking mystique, pull out the practical knowledge, and maybe find some surprising nuggets hidden in this recipe book and all the info around it.
All tailored for you, the listener, who wants to get informed quickly, thoroughly, but without drowning in, unnecessary detail.
It almost feels like a secret that's been kept, doesn't it? Now, the book does get into what goes into our baked goods, and it draws a really clear line between home baking and commercial stuff.
Right. Take something basic like butter. The source points out there's just a huge variety.
And your choice impacts everything: taste, cost, health, texture.
And there are alternatives too, of course. But the main point is the difference in priorities.
That's the key takeaway, yeah.
Yeah.
At home, you're maybe focused on taste, maybe health, that extra bit of, love, as the book might say.
Whereas commercial baking, it's operating under totally different rules. Ingredient costs, for instance, often can't be more than, say, 30% of the selling price.
Which naturally leads to some, shall we say, resourceful ingredient choices in mass-produced items.
Exactly. The source talks about using lower-grade ingredients, even fillers, just to increase the volume.
We're talking maybe 25%, 75%, maybe even more. It means those cheaper treats are often engineered for cost, not necessarily nutrition. Something to think about.
It really highlights what drives the final product. Home baking is often about quality, enjoyment. Commercial baking, fundamentally about scalability and profit.
And the book mentions commercial processes use precise measurements by mass, right? And they're designed for speed, high speed.
Yeah, maximum output. And then there's the whole shelf life issue.
Oh, right. Your home cake might be good for a few days max.
But commercial stuff needs to last weeks, maybe months.
So that means preservatives, special packaging. It's a whole different ballgame compared to your kitchen counter.
It is. It really shapes what we end up eating. A home baker might seek out organic, local stuff. A manufacturer, they'll likely go for whatever meets the cost and production demands.
Now, something that often intimidates new bakers is this idea of perfect measurements, like down to the gram.
Yeah, you see those recipes with super specific numbers, and it feels like one tiny slip up means disaster.
But this source actually throws a bit of a wrench in that. It points out there isn't even one single universal way to measure.
You've got metric, imperial.
And those wonderfully vague terms like a pinch or a dollop. Love those.
Right. And this lack of a standard actually highlights something important: consistency within a single recipe.
Ah, okay. So if you stick to one method, cups, grams, whatever, even handfuls maybe.
Then your ratios, the proportions, will be approximately correct. It's more about that than hitting some, abstract ideal number.
So does thinking about it that way, focusing on those relative amounts, maybe encourage more experimenting, less fear?
I think so. It definitely takes some pressure off, makes baking feel less like rigid science, maybe more like something you can, play with.
The source even touches on that following a recipe exactly is more about duplication, recreating someone else's thing.
Whereas maybe you want to explore your own creativity instead. It makes you think, what do I want from this bake?
And if we look at the actual recipes in the book, these simple chef recipes, you really see that simpler approach. They seem designed to be easy, accessible.
Definitely. The book's full of them. And it's interesting how small changes make big differences.
Absolutely. Like muffins and cupcakes. The Simple Chef almond cake uses a full cup of sugar.
But the Simple Chef Almond Muffins cupcakes, only half a cup. Big difference.
And even within muffins, there's variation. The Simple Chef vanilla muffins have even less sugar, just 100 milliliters.
And the acai honey ones swap some sugar for acai honey,
Yeah.
also bringing the sugar down compared to the almond ones.
Plus, for the real almond fans, there's the Simple Chef Uber almond cupcakes. They add ground almonds for, well, an uber dose of almond.
And what's neat is that these muffin recipes all seem to make about 18 cups, with extra batter for a glass pan.
And they all bake at the same temp, same time, 40 minutes at 375 F or 200 C. That consistency is interesting, despite the flavor changes.
That's a lot of muffins.
Ugh.
Enough to share, or maybe just a very productive weekend bake.
Yeah, maybe. Then moving to pancakes, again, simple tweaks, different results. There's the Simple Chef Pan Bake.
Described as bread-like, so denser maybe, less airy.
Could be. And then Simple Chef Broken Pancakes sounds intriguing, almost deliberate.
Yeah, flavored with cinnamon and honey. And the method's a bit different. Let the batter rest. Flip when bubbles appear.
And what's clever is using the leftover broken pancake batter for Simple Chef Mango Mash Pancakes. Just add mashed mango.
Resourceful. The book even notes they won't cook quite the same because of the fruit. Need a final simmer.
No waste, I like it. Okay, breads. Another good example, Simple Chef Peppermint Bread.
Longer prep time noted there. Suggests maybe a longer yeast fermentation. For a deeper, more natural flavor, perhaps.
Possibly, whereas the Simple Chef bread sounds more straightforward. Uses olive oil, tasty and healthy is the promise.
But both follow that same basic path, right? Activate yeast, mix, knead, rise, shape, bake. Just different ingredients, different timings.
Exactly. And then you have Simple Chef flat rolls, kind of a cross between flatbread and a softer roll.
Sounds versatile. Good with butter or fruit, it says.
Yeah.
Mentions a two-stage mix, but quicker baking. Makes sense if they're thinner.
And the simple olive rolls sound richer, more substantial. Lots of olive oil baked in muffin tins as little balls.
Cute.
Cute.
Even cheesecakes show this range. Simple Chef cheesecake sounds, well, simple.
Totally. Crushed cookies, mixed with butter for the crust. Blend cream cheese, sugar for filling. Add a topping, chill, done.
Couldn't be easier. But then there's Simple Chef Crazy Cheesecake.
Huh. And it sounds like it earns the name. Uses a blender, you bake the crust separately. Longer chilling time needed.
Shows there's room for different methods, even in cheesecake, right? Different effort levels.
And homemade chocolate. The Yumo section has some interesting ideas. Basic, Simple Chef Yumo chocolate uses agave sweetener.
While the peppermint version uses peppermint-infused honey for that flavor kick.
And the key seems to be that gentle, low heat for melting the coconut butter. Then just mix in the cocoa.
Yeah, it really demystifies chocolate making. Doesn't have to be super complicated or temperamental.
And for a bit extra, Simple Chef Peppermint Coconut Yumo chocolate just adds shredded coconut on top. Quick bake.
And there's a coffee version too, Simple Chef Yumo coffee chocolate, using actual brewed coffee.
The Simple Chef Chocolate Yumo Matcha Mooncakes sound more elaborate, though.
Definitely a step up. Layers of different cocoa mixtures, coffee, that matcha honey filling, needs refrigeration to set, building complexity from a simple base.
Macaroons, too, a simple version, and one with bits of that homemade Yumo chocolate added in.
Simple Chef macaroons, quick, delicious coconut ones. Then Simple Chef Yumo macaroons with the chocolate pieces. Nice variation.
And cookies. Simple Chef vanilla cookies aiming for that crispy edge, soft center ideal.
Alongside Simple Chef peppermint almond cookies using almond flour and peppermint extract. Different texture, different flavor.
And honestly, the sheer variety of other things just mentioned is kind of mind-blowing.
What else is there?
Fluffy eggs, wild apple boar, chutneys, flavored milks, Cape Breton donaires even, spinach lasagna.
Wow, okay. Quite a range.
Ice cream made different ways, durian stuff for the brave, sushi rolls, mille-feuilles de l'amour. It really shows the breadth of what's possible, often with pretty simple methods.
It does. And as we move into the Beyond Recipes part, it gets into the science underpinning all this. Measurements revisited, but with more context.
Absolutely. The baking measurement section is detailed. Metric, imperial, volume, weight.
Grams, milliliters, ounces, cups, even bushels. And conversion tables for everything.
So connecting back to what we said earlier about different systems, this gives you the tools.
Yeah, specific imperial to metric and vice versa factors. Plus that handy fraction to decimal conversion table for scaling recipes. Useful.
And temperature, obviously crucial. The book explains Celsius, Fahrenheit, gives conversion formulas, detailed tables.
No more guessing games between 350F and 175 or 180C.
Exactly. But what's really fascinating is how it brings in environmental factors, things we don't always consider.
Like what?
Pressure, density, which is affected by particle size, moisture, humidity, temperature itself, even subtle stuff like magnetic alignment, supposedly.
Whoa, okay, magnetic alignment. That's unexpected.
Right. It's a reminder your kitchen isn't some perfect lab bubble. The book explains water volume versus mass, density changes with temperature.
Which seems subtle, but could actually affect how things mix, especially in sensitive recipes. There's a table for that water density, too.
And the section on boiling water facts and tips is surprisingly deep.
Goes beyond just heat until bubbly, I assume.
Way beyond.
Oh, wow.
Defines boiling point, notes how altitude lowers it about half a degree Celsius for every 9.5 meters up.
Okay, that's significant, and there's a table for that, too. Air pressure, boiling temps at elevation.
Yep. And it highlights the implication.
Yeah.
Maybe your sterilization isn't as effective at high altitudes.
Huh. Definitely not something you think about when you put the kettle on.
Nope. Plus practical tips. Boil only what you need, hard versus soft water issues, mineral deposits.
And it even gets into the energy needed to heat water, turn it to steam. Compares kettle versus stove efficiency.
And how salt actually raises the boiling point.
Good to know. But it also cautions about sterilization, right? Boiling isn't foolproof.
Right. 15 minutes kills most bacteria, inactivates viruses, but not all microbes or pollutants.
Then it gets even more technical. Water vapor pressure, density, specific heat tables.
Oh, yeah. Thermal conductivity, how much energy to melt or vaporize, thermal expansion, even details on Vienna Standard mean ocean water.
Okay, that's seriously detailed. What's the takeaway from all that water science?
I think it emphasizes just how much water properties can change with temperature and pressure. Something maybe high-altitude bakers intuitively know, but here's the science.
And practical stuff, too. How to boil water.
List the usual methods: pot, kettle, electric kettle, but also some off-grid ones like a pedal stove, noting efficiencies.
And then there are formulas.
A whole bunch. Basic physics, pressure, force, mass, volume, temp conversions, C, K, F gas mark conversions, psi to kilopascals, even one for density difference between aerated and air-free water.
Wow. It really drives home the science behind everyday cooking.
And that temperature scales table with step, thermostat, gas mark is useful, clarifying those oven terms and warning that ovens vary.
Good point. And a practical tip about using cans in recipes.
Yeah, be careful because can sizes aren't standard. Could mess up your ratios.
Makes sense. Finally, that glossary of cooking terms sounds like a goldmine.
Totally.
Yeah.
Covers everything from al dente to sugar stages like softball, hard crack, techniques like deglaze, preservation like aperdization or canning. Worth exploring to decode recipe jargon.
That ball stage thing, for example, it's about how hot sugar acts in cold water, right? It tells you how cooked it is, like for candy.
Exactly. Now, for a total shift, food and health, looked at from two really different angles.
Okay, what are they?
First, the traditional Chinese view. It's all about food types. Cooling, heating, neutral, affecting the body. Balance and moderation are key.
So it's not about nutrients per se, but the food's energy. And what's good for you depends.
Depends on your body condition, environment, weather, yeah. The book has a table of Mandarin terms, pinyin, English, for symptoms and effects. Things like dry fire, damp heat, coldness, but also concepts like tonifying blood and qi or promoting circulation.
Fascinating. A completely different framework for thinking about food and bodies.
Then, boom, we switch to the modern Western chemical approach. Focus on nutrients, the specific chemicals we need.
Right. Building tissues, regulating processes, providing energy, the usual suspects.
And the book provides super detailed tables. Nutrient type, group, name, organic, amino acids, fats, saturated, monopoly, carbs, starch, sugar, vitamins, carotenoids, inorganic, minerals, plus water and oxygen essential.
And it even lists other nutrients still being looked at.
Yeah, things like cannabinoids, theanine, caffeine, resveratrol, creatine, CoQ10, yeast, boron, zinc, things we often hear about for specific effects.
Interesting to see them listed alongside vitamins. And it defines key terms: essential, micro, macro nutrients, deficiencies, dose.
All clearly laid out. And it even mentions the ongoing debate about whether cooked starch is strictly necessary.
Okay. Then modern macronutrient thought. What's the focus there?
It's about balancing those macros, carbs, protein, fat, plus variety in food groups, and exercise for overall health.
And there's a big table for that too, I bet.
You bet. Daily calorie intake percentage and servings based on age, gender, food group, and macronutrient. Really detailed breakdown.
Recommended servings for veggies, fruits, grains, milk alternatives, meat alternatives, and ideal percentage ranges for carbs, protein, fat for different groups.
Exactly. Plus important notes afterward, like choose unsaturated fats, limit the high-cal, high-fat, sugar, salt stuff, prepare foods simply, eat fish, drink water, use healthier cooking methods.
Standard advice, but good reminders. Any additional notes?
Yeah, about individual needs. No fat restriction for toddlers, maybe smaller meals more often, extra needs in pregnancy breastfeeding, more vitamin D for older adults.
And it gives specific serving sizes, like
Meh.
what counts as one serving of fruit or grain.
Yes, details for vegetables, fruit, grain, milk alt, meat alt, plus exercise recommendations, 60 mins daily for kids, 2.5 hours weekly, plus strength for adults.
Pretty comprehensive guidelines. What comes next?
Finally, this massive table of other dietary beliefs, categorized by source, purpose, notes. It's incredible.
Like what kind of things?
Everything. Religious diets, ahimsa, halal, Bible-based, kosher, ital, vegetarian variations, vegan, lacto-ovo, etc., flexitarian, pescatarian,
Okay, the common ones. What else?
weight loss-focused diets, medical diets, gluten-free, keto, specific carb, alkaline, blood type, then others. Eat clean, raw food, Gerson, macrobiotic, low-fat, low glycemic index.
Wow. It just keeps going.
Oh, yeah. Biological classifications like herbivore, carnivore, even Nutriloaf, the prison meal, chemical-free, organic, regional diets. It just shows the sheer diversity of how people approach eating.
That incredible variety really hits home, doesn't it? That healthy eating isn't just one thing. It's deeply personal, cultural.
Absolutely. It highlights that food is so much more than just fuel. It's tangled up with culture, belief, values.
So wrapping this all up, this deep dive into the source really shows baking, despite seeming complex, is fundamentally simple.
Yeah, ingredient choices matter, health costs, but those super precise measurements aren't always the be-all and end-all.
And the book is full of practical recipes illustrating that simplicity and variety. Plus, surprisingly deep science background.
For me, a surprising bit was definitely that altitude effect on boiling water. Never considered that for sterilization.
Yeah, that was interesting. And the contrast between the Chinese food energy idea and the Western nutrient focus is quite stark, gives you different ways to think.
And just the sheer number of dietary beliefs listed really shows how personal our relationship with food is.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Hopefully this dive gave you, our listener, some of those quick learning points, those aha moments, without being too overwhelming.
So thinking about all these different perspectives, the science, the health views, the dietary beliefs, here's a final thought. What personal recipe for well-being resonates most with you? And how might you maybe experiment with some of these baking techniques to nourish that?
That's a great question to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We definitely encourage you to explore the source material more if you're curious, and share any kitchen adventures or questions you might have.